So in this video, I want to talk about what I would do if I was starting out again in property and business and I needed to increase my income to £10,000 a month as quickly as I can. Now, my property journey first started later this year. Would be 10 years of kind of entrepreneurship and actually starting my property journey. Obviously now we've got multiple businesses. We've got the estate agency business, Luxury Property Partners, that'll produce multiple seven figures revenue this year. We've also got our investment development company. And I started off as an estate agent, self-employed estate agent. And really the first £10,000 I earned in 1 month was, I would have been maybe towards back end of like 19, 20 years old. And if I knew the things I'm going to share with you now, it would have taken me a hell of a lot quicker to achieve. And so really, I just want to break down, again, if I could speak to my 16, 17, 18-year-old self, what I would tell them they would need to do in order to get their income up to that kind of meaningful amount, which is a common goal for a lot of people, £10,000 a month. And really the sweet spot in life is that £8,000 to £10,000 to £12,000 per month, because you can achieve that with pretty much no team, which means you can have very big profit margins. Most of it can be profit if it's the right business model, and we'll talk about what that could be in this video. And with that, there's no team obligations. You don't have any shareholder obligations. You don't need to raise capital and have investors in the business, people that you need to report to. And the kind of stress levels and risk of operating a business at that level is much lower compared to where I'm at now. And I was having this conversation at dinner last night over a cigar as well with a friend of mine. I'm at a point now where the businesses that I have, these aren't lifestyle businesses anymore. These are businesses that require me to be up early on team calls first thing in the morning, working till late at night, 5, 6, 7 days a week. And there's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, which is the price you pay if you want to build a business that's growing to be worth something. And that's not an ambition of everyone. And that's why I say kind of beyond that £10,000, £12,000 a month, actually it kind of becomes a bit of diminishing returns, because there is a lot of pressure, there's a lot of stress. And also to get to those bigger income and revenue numbers as well, it often requires kind of a different vehicle, a different business model, etc. So the first thing I would probably share, and the first point, is that, especially for those that want to get into property, you need to understand the difference between income and or building an income and building wealth. They're two totally different things, because a lot of people come into property thinking, I want to make money, and there's nothing wrong with that mindset. In fact, it should be encouraged, and it's a shame that is somewhat discouraged by some people. You know, taught growing up, shouldn't be greedy. And it's, if you've been brought up in a household where you're taught that like kind of money is evil and whatnot, I want you to know that it's okay to want more. It's okay to want to make money. It's okay to feel greedy sometimes. So making money, you need to understand income is how much you make on a consistent monthly basis. And then wealth is how much you own and how much you have. And I won't go into in too much detail, but if you look at the Sunday Times rich list, or you look at the Forbes list, and you see these billionaires with these huge numbers next to their name, whether it's 200 billion or 100 million, these super wealthy people haven't amassed that level of wealth through income and dividends and the salary they've paid themselves from the business. It's come through the appreciation, the increase in value of assets they've owned, whether that's a business. It could be like Elon, who owns Tesla and SpaceX, Amazon for Jeff Bezos, or it could be the increase in value in a real estate portfolio, for example. And ultimately, wealth is just equity. It's ownership. Income is, of course, the monthly consistent income. And the priority of anyone starting out, in my opinion, should be to just focus on increasing your income first, increasing that monthly cash flow, because that's what allows you to do great things. One, it allows you to kind of maybe escape a job that you're in, you might not be satisfied with. It allows you to look after those people that are around you, and it allows you to look after yourself and do nice things. If you want to potentially have a nice car that you want to drive, or you want to go on nice holidays, whatever it is, whatever's valuable to you, having consistent monthly free cash flow allows you to do that. The thing is with real estate, from a real estate investment development side, it's a very capital intensive business. And so I kind of have this running joke, and you hear me talk about this a lot, that I have all of these friends, a lot of these friends are very, very successful in their own right in real estate investment development. But often when they're starting out, until they obviously have this realization, they're always like, the cash position is always very poor because it's so capital intensive, meaning money is constantly going into real estate deals. If you're buying houses, flipping houses, developing property, buying land, there's a lot of money going in, and yes, there's profit to be made at the end, but oftentimes that profit is rolled into the next deal. And so it's very hard to kind of take money off the table. And so the running joke is, it's very hard to, a lot of these friends that are successful in real estate can't go for a nice dinner, a nice holiday with them because all their money's always tied up in deals. And don't get me wrong, obviously I've got our investment development company. We've got a development we're doing over in Cambridgeshire for 17 houses. That has just been money going out the door. Like, we have not seen a return on that. We've had that just piece of land 2.5 years now to get to a point where we can just start construction, and it's cost us hundreds of thousands, money out of our own pocket as well. And obviously we've raised capital from investors. But that is a wealth building play. That is a long-term play where we'll make 7 figures of profits in the future, and we're happy to be patient. But in the meantime, when I've got a beautiful apartment to pay rent for every single month, or the weather's been beautiful recently and I've been tempted to buy another silly car, or I'm flying to Marbella tomorrow morning to just do some work out there, and being able to do those nice things requires monthly income, monthly cash flow, which is where obviously I've got the trading businesses being the estate agency business, being the education business, amongst some other business interests that I have. And so point I'm trying to make is, first priority is to focus on increasing your income and not saving money either. Like, especially when you're young, you don't want to fall into this trap of, oh, if I just don't have my Starbucks or I cut my Netflix subscription, I'm going to be able to save up more. It's a quick story to really draw this point home. When I bought my first Lamborghini, the iconic blue Puffamante, and I've got a video where I collected it. Feels like years ago now, probably 3+ years ago, which is crazy. I picked it up, and the first week I got it, I drove it to Sainsbury's supermarket down the road here, and there was a young guy, probably a couple of years younger than me, who I'd seen all the time when I'd been to Sainsbury's, and he was just one of these guys that would push the trolleys, clear up the car park, push the trolleys into the trolley bay, whatever it is. And I pulled up in the car for the first time, and he was like, what the hell, bro? Like, congrats on the car, whatever. I come into the shop and I come back outside, and he stops me and says, like, obviously, congratulations on the car, bro. And what advice would you give to me? Like, what is it you do? We'd seen each other, but we never really had a conversation. And I said, obviously, I'm in real estate. And he says, well, that's crazy, because I'm actually saving up to get into real estate myself. And of course, I never like to pass judgment or be judgmental, but I could obviously make an assessment based on the work that he was doing, kind of what kind of income he's going to be earning, especially being in London as well, or wherever he wants to invest in property, to save up a meaningful amount of money that's going to be enough to buy a property and invest in property. We're talking in the tens of thousands, right? And so he told me his plan was to work and to save up to buy property. But my advice to him was, bro, how long is it going to take you to save up? Doing the work you're doing now, it's going to take you a long time, right? He said, yeah, I've been saving for a couple of years, and it's probably going to take me a few more years. I said, well, you're solving for the wrong problem. The focus should not be on saving money. The focus should be on, how can I increase my income? And when it comes to increasing your income, ultimately in a capitalist environment that we all exist in, fortunately, and capitalism is an amazing thing, is that the marketplace rewards value. And so in order to increase your income, age-old entrepreneurship, it all comes down to how much value can you provide to a marketplace, i.e. what problems are you solving, and how good are you at solving these problems, or what value are you providing to a marketplace being individuals or businesses. And the more value that you can provide, the more the marketplace will reward you. And so naturally, in order to increase your income, you have to become more valuable as a person. And the way you become more valuable as a person is by learning more valuable skill sets applied to a specific business model. So when it comes to property, there is, in my opinion, a kind of superior business model for people getting started out to really increase their income to these meaningful levels. But also at the same time, it really doesn't matter what business model you pick, because again, I have people ask me all the time that are starting out in their entrepreneurship journey, and they say, hey, Tyler, do I get into e-commerce? Do I get into drop shipping? Do I start Forex trading? Do I start a social media agency? Do I try TikTok content and going viral on TikTok? All of these different business models. And the answer is always the same. The answer is all of these business models work. Like, I have friends, in fact, most, like my friendship group, my close friendship group, all of these guys are in e-commerce and they crush it. They've got businesses making multi-7, some of them 8 figures a year, and they're in their mid to late 20s. I've got guys that in e-commerce, they start off drop shipping. I've got guys that are do all different kinds of businesses. And it's not so much about the business model, it's about the character and the person you have to become in order to be successful in that. So all of the business models work. The better focus has to be on who do I need to become in order to be successful at this business model. So the business model that I think is best for people getting started in property is basically you want to provide, if you want to increase your income and you're being paid by the hour, typically, if you're employed, you're paid by the hour. You might be paid at the end of each month, but it's calculated a lot of the time on an hourly wage. And so if you find yourself in that position, there's only real 2 ways to increase your income. One is you work more hours, or secondly is you increase your pound per hour rate. But the problem with that is to try and work more hours, there's only 24 hours in a day, so it's really not that scalable. And your employer might not be prepared to pay you for more hours. And secondly, if you want to increase your pound per hour rate as an employee, that depends on getting a promotion or getting an even better job opportunity, which is great, but again, it's not hugely scalable, and oftentimes it relies on things that are outside of your control, like getting a promotion. It assumes there might be a promotion available and assumes it's going to be you that gets that promotion. So how do you increase your income? Well, you've got to start a business, and ideally a business where you are paid in proportion to the value that you can provide rather than the time that you invest. Well, you're paid on results, basically. You're paid on how good you are at doing that particular thing or whatever it is you're selling. So either sell a product or you sell a service. The best business model in property, in my opinion, is a service-based business where you are finding and identifying investment properties for people that want to invest in property. Typically, clients that are cash rich, as in they've got to have capital that they want to invest, but they don't have the time nor the knowledge to go and find these deals. They don't have the time, being either they might be a doctor or dentist based in London, they've got maybe 50 grand, 100 grand stashed away, they want to invest in property up north. They don't have the time to go up, maybe take the weekend away to go up north and view properties away from their family, nor is it worth their time. If this is a highly paid professional, it is not worth their time to again, drive up north or go do these viewings. They would rather pay someone to do the job for them. Or they don't know how to find these deals. They don't know how to identify good deals. They don't know, they want professional advice. So these clients will happily pay what's called property sourcers, people that can source investment properties, a sourcing fee in the thousands of pounds. Really minimum that I see is £3,500 plus, and that's where it starts, to source these investment properties on their behalf. And in order to provide this service with the internet economy, all you really need is a laptop, a phone, and then being able to develop the valuable skill sets that are required in order to achieve those things. So that is going to be, if we're talking specifically to this business model, you've got to learn how to find and identify good property deals, the different methods of building relationships and working with agents, direct to vendor marketing strategies where you're approaching properties that aren't on the market yet to try and find motivated sellers. And then of course, how to actually handle the negotiations. You've got to learn negotiation and communication, but also how to actually do the deal analysis and look at comparable evidence. What could this property be worth? How much is the refurb going to be? What are the finance costs going to be? Being able to, in fancy finance terms, it's called like underwrite a deal or do the financial modeling, but really it's just analyzing a deal. I mean, it's smaller projects when someone's starting out, it really is just going to be what are the in and out costs, so legal fees, stamp duty, and purchase price. The purchase price, the in and out costs, which are the legal fees, the stamp duty, anything else. You've got the holding costs, which is really the finance costs, plus some other bits like insurances, council tax, etc. And then of course you've got like the value add, the renovation, etc. And then you work out the exit strategy. Is someone going to sell this property? If they do, what's their return on investment going to be? Are they going to refinance this property? Whatever the exit strategy is. You've also got to learn sales, you've got to learn marketing, you've got to learn all these valuable skill sets. So skill sets is one thing. You've also got to learn, you've really got to improve your psychology, because a lot of the time I see people, they have the knowledge and the skill sets, but it's often psychological factors that are holding them back. And this could be things like belief systems that aren't serving them. And this is definitely something that was true for me. When I started out, there was a lot of belief systems I was holding on to that weren't serving me. It's called limiting beliefs. And I wasn't aware that they were limiting beliefs at the time. But then I had to overcome them in order to progress and level up. It could be things like lack of confidence or fear of judgment. A lot of these psychological things, which are very normal, and maybe I'll create some content on kind of how to overcome those things. But being able to provide a service like this, as long as you've got a phone, laptop, you have the right resources, so being able to put the right contracts together and put a good deal pack together, etc., etc. In my opinion, it's one of the best business models because it's massive market. The buy-to-let market is huge. People always want to invest in property. There's just the market, like we all know the market for it is huge. We all know someone, if you're not in property yourself, the likely is you have someone within your personal network already that invests in property or makes money from property, whether it's a friend, a family member. And it's, it's a multi, I think trillion pound. I don't know how big the buy-to-let market is actually, but I think in 2022 it was, I want to say like, I don't know. I'll find out what it is and I'll put it in the description. But you just need to get like a 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of the entire market in order for you to even achieve a meaningful income. And so when you're basically providing this service where you're able to charge a sourcing fee of £2,000-3,000 plus, then you've only got to do really 2, 3, 4 deals a month, 1 deal a week, in order to be earning that £8,000 to £12,000 a month figure before you've even got referral commissions from solicitors, mortgage advisors and finance brokers, before you're even maybe getting a kickback on project management and charging a fee for handling the refurbishment of a property and making sure that the contractor is doing the right thing, etc. Now, I don't want to make out like this business model is easy. Achieving success in any endeavor, in any business model, is always going to be hard at first. It's meant to be hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But the beautiful thing is it's hard until it isn't. And that applies to everything. And we often grow up thinking that hard is something we should avoid and hard is a red flag. And when things are hard, we should look for alternatives. But the shift in mindset needs to be that you've got to embrace hard, because on the other side of hard is the rewarding things. It is the success. And so to achieve success in this business model than anything else, it could, for some people that have prior experience in business and already have the skill sets of sales, of marketing, could get results very, very quickly in 30 days, 60 days. For some people it might take 6 months, for some people it might take 12 months plus. But as long as every day you're getting 1% better, you're sharpening your sword, you're getting better at sales, you're getting better at communication, you're doing the reps, you're doing the volume, you're speaking to people. So that is, in my opinion, one of the best business models. But really the focus needs to be on who do you need to become in order to achieve the goals that you have, which is a whole other video that I'll do over the next week or so. The other beautiful thing about this business model is what I call the evolution of a property sourcer, for example. So when you're providing a service-based business, and like to preface this, when I started out my property journey, I was an estate agent. I was a self-employed estate agent. I was on commission only. Back then, this was 9 years ago, the internet economy was a thing, but not as much as a thing it is now, where you can, with social media, set up your own company and get access to, it wasn't as common back then, get access to, a wider audience as easy as you can now and get attention for your business. But the first property I ever sold was an £85,000 flat in Rugby to a buy-to-let investor. And then from that, most of the properties I sold when I was operating in kind of the lower end of the market, before I kind of shifted my focus into my own investment developments, was to buy-to-let investors. I would get instructed, or someone in the office that I was working with would get instructed on maybe a 3-bedroom terrace property that had tenants in. And then I would have a list of applicants as an agent that I would call through that I knew were buy-to-let investors that could buy it. And then I would earn a commission. So I was really just I was an agent, a broker for investment property. And that's what property sourcing is. Property sourcing, like, a lot of people don't want to have this conversation, but it is a estate agency. It's where traditional estate agency, you're representing the sell side of a transaction. So you're representing the sellers, and you're not just maybe representing investment properties, you're representing owner occupiers and family homes, and you're brokering deals with buyers that are looking for more their like emotional purchases, properties they're going to live in. Property sourcing is where your specialty is investment property, and you're representing the buyers rather than the sellers, which is no different to, if you know the US model of estate agency, the Australian model. It's very common to have a representative on both the sell side and the buy side. So this business model has also been around for like hundreds of years. It's really not that different. It's just becoming a specialist in one type of one sector, investment property, maybe in a particular area, maybe a particular type of property investments, so maybe HMO conversions or whatever else. So, by the way, most elite drink in the world, in my opinion, San Pellegrino, sparkling water, some sliced lemon and some ice. I like to drink it out of a fishbowl wine glass, or probably really a gin glass. The mistake I've been making all week is I've been drinking out of this glass on Zoom calls, and some of my team, and I even had some calls with some potential investors we're looking to partner with, thought I was actually drinking gin. So yeah, this isn't gin, this is sparkling water. So coming back to the evolution of a property sourcer, the beautiful thing about starting a property sourcing agency is the skills and knowledge that you're going to develop are going to serve you so well in kind of your next evolution in your property journey. You're going to get great at finding and identifying property deals. You're going to be building great relationships with estate agents. If you're performing on your offers and you're doing plenty of deals through them, your deal flow, which is basically a fancy word for the amount of deals you have access to, is going to be great. You're also going to have good access to capital, because these investor clients that have capital, that are buying property through you, that you're building relationships with, these are then going to be the people that you raise capital from. And instead of selling deals to them, they actually come in on the deals with you. They fund you and fund your deals. And so point being is, the evolution of a property sourcer is you go from being a broker to actually being able to do your own investments and developments as well, because you've got access to great deals, because you built relationships with agents, because you know how to identify these deals. And then when it comes to funding them, hopefully, of course, you've got great cash flow and you've been able to save money a lot quicker because you're earning a more meaningful income. But at the same time, you've also got a pool of investors that know, like, and trust you, that you've done good business with, and you've got a good reputation with, that you can go to and say, hey, I've just agreed to buy this. Did you want to joint venture with me, or did you want to lend on this project? And then that's how you really build the long-term wealth, is through the investment and development side. So you have the monthly cash flow of the service-based business, and then you have the investment development stuff, which is a long game. And that's where real wealth comes from, but that is like get rich slow. There's no such thing as get rich quick in property. Is it possible to earn a significant income in a short span of time? Yes, with the right model, and if you've developed the skill sets and you've just got the right mindset and psychology. But to get rich and like build real wealth, you can't, there's no cheat code for that. Like, that is only built over years and decades, not weeks and months. So that, in my opinion, is like the perfect property business, and what I would be looking to do if I was starting again. Obviously, I started as an estate agent. If I kind of knew this business model was, if this was more popular and kind of existed back then, and there were the people doing it that I could model and learn from, and there kind of was, but not as not as polished and as not as common as it is now. That's 100% what I would have been doing. Obviously, I bought my first property when I was 19, £8,500, or it was like £8,500 deposit. I think the deposit was actually somewhere like that, and then another £1,000 on legal fees, which was money that I saved through being an agent and brokering deals. So very much the path that I followed. So that is my opinion on the most effective route to increase your income as someone starting out in business, in property from a young age. Hopefully there were some gems in there, and more videos to come.